Most of my life, whenever I'm like writing music or looking for inspiration in any way, I usually look at other people's music, as do many people. If I'm writing a song and it feels like something should go a certain way, I will use that band or song, maybe with some other songs, and use it as like a reference of like the kind of style that I'm going for. I think that's kind of like the common way to go about it, is to find out like what bands or artists that inspire you, and then you take those as influences to kind of spin it on your own in whatever way that you think is your own, right? And I think to an extent that can only get you so far. So this week I'm kind of trying something different that I wanted to invite you guys and kind of challenge you to try out. I'm just calling this like a creative identity challenge because I don't really have any other way to really describe it. The goal of this is to have a more clear answer of what your creative identity is. Basically, when people ask you, what do you sound like? What should I expect when I hear you or look at your creative work? Or how do you define yourself to somebody who's never seen what you do? As creatives, we usually don't want to feel misunderstood, and it's not someone else's fault for not understanding you. Instead of taking other people's inspiration and trying to find out whatever it is about you that makes your thing unique, I think this exercise will help you get there a little bit quicker. So take out a piece of paper, a notepad, your Apple Notes, however you want to make a list of all the descriptive words that you want people to think about when they look at your work, when they hear your work, when they see your work. Whatever that may be, whether that's like honest, quirky, abstract, fun, groovy, anything, literally anything. There is no box that you have to put yourself in. This is just like, how do you want people to see you? What words do you want people to think of when they experience whatever it is that you do? I think it's easiest to start with like 10 to 20, just to kind of throw up on a piece of paper and figure out whatever it is that you want to be felt as. And then from there, define what those attributes are. Like, what makes up each of those things? If one of the words you're really looking at is honest, what makes something sound honest to you? What makes something look honest to you with whatever art that you make? What sounds typically identify as something being quirky? Is it like a certain color palette that people use? Is it certain instrumentation that people use when they're producing their songs? The easiest way to do this is create like a flowchart. I used this website. You could literally go like infinite amount of webs. The amount of things that you could use to describe a certain word is kind of endless. So there's no cap on how much you should go into this, just until you at least you feel you've described whatever word it is before you move on to the next one. I'll break down a list of words that I think I want to be heard as. Like, for example, I had vulnerable, honest, lush, energetic, brave, relatable, vibey, ear candy, clever, raw, groovy. Based on that list alone, that could literally fall under any genre, and that's okay, because intuitively just creating, this still gives you like a North Star of whatever direction you're going with however you usually get there. That's all. What things usually make up the sound of raw? When I think of raw, I usually think of like maybe like distorted guitars, untuned vocals, just something that sounds a little bit messy and less perfection. When I think of lush, I literally picture a sound. For example, like you're playing a guitar without a pick, and things just sound really smooth. Versus, now that you have your list, I would take maybe like 3 to 5 of those words, things that really stand out to you that you might be able to apply in something this week. It could be like a song, it could be like a lyrical theme, it could be like an art collection of any sort, it could be like a graphic design collection. Just pick 3 to 5 and try to apply those into whatever thing that you're making this week, just as a start, so that you can kind of see how, if you solidify what those things sound like, they actually influence the way that you make something this week. Maybe it isn't exactly what you're trying to go for, and I think that's fine, because I think that helps you identify things about yourself that make your interpretation unique. Maybe it's things that you didn't realize should be on this list, and then you can refine from there. Hi, it's like a day or two later. I just wanted to add something in here because I think I should mention that to some people this might feel like an obvious kind of thing. Like, certain genres of art kind of have, typical things that make that genre a certain thing. It might seem like this is a waste of time to try to categorize those things when they kind of speak for themselves. For example, if you are an EDM artist, your meat and potatoes with production, and that's kind of a big part of it. But I think ultimately this exercise helps you define, where you can infuse your own personality within those parameters. A house isn't built without a blueprint. Even if you build a million of the same house, you still need a blueprint, right? So yeah, although it might feel like a waste of time if you are very self-aware of what you do, genres evolve over time. We as humans evolve over time. I don't think there's ever a point where you can stop and say, I know everything. So hopefully when you make your list of words and you implement that into your next piece of art, maybe people will perceive that piece of art as being something a little bit more unique to you and less like, oh, you sound like this person, or this looks like you really like this person's art, or something like that. Leave a comment. I want to see like how this may help you this week, and like what other things that you're working on, and how it may help you identify your creative identity. Thanks for watching.